Stop! Before you take another sip of that $15 jar of bone broth sitting in your fridge, you need to hear this. That golden powder in the tub on your counter. The collagen peptides your daughter-in-law swore by. The simmering pot of beef knuckles you've been nursing for 24 hours because some influencer told you it was the secret to healing your gut. Put it down. Jesus never drank bone broth. Not once. Not on the shore of Galilee. Not in the upper room. Not in the house of Simon the leper. What he drank, what his mother Mary ladled into clay cups for the men who came home from the sea, contained nearly 4 times the collagen-building compounds of anything you can buy today. And it's sitting in Luke chapter 24, verse 42, where the risen Christ asks for a piece of broiled fish and a honeycomb. That fish, that broth, that is the forgotten formula. I'm going to show you 5 biblical broths preserved by one family of Aramaic-speaking fishermen on the northern shore of the Sea of Galilee, recovered through cooking pot residue analysis that most American pastors have never read. And by the end, you'll know exactly how to make the one Mary simmered, using a single grocery store bag and a pot you already own. I didn't come to this from faith. I came to it from grief. 3 winters ago, my older brother Curtis collapsed in his driveway in Asheville. A stroke at 62. A man who'd eaten what the dietitian told him for 40 years. Lean chicken breast. Egg whites. Skim milk. No skin. No bones. No fat. No flavor. In the hospital cafeteria, I watched a nurse pour him a packet of powdered chicken broth that listed maltodextrin before it listed chicken. That was the moment something cracked in me. I went home, opened my father's study Bible, and started reading every passage about food the way an engineer reads a blueprint. What I found sent me to a small village above the Sea of Galilee called Magdala, the old Magdala, the hometown of Mary Magdalene. There's a woman there named Sit Hanan, a Maronite Christian in her late 70s, who still cooks on a stone hearth her grandmother built. She laughed at my bone broth jar when I pulled it from my bag. Then she taught me what her people never stopped making. The first broth is fish head broth, not bones, heads. In 1st century Galilee, the poor could not afford to waste the skull, the eyes, the cartilage around the gills. Those were the prized pieces. Archaeological work at the Magdala excavation has recovered stone-lined cooking pits with fish skull fragments layered in ash, evidence of slow simmering in sealed clay vessels. The collagen yield from a single tilapia head, the same species the disciples pulled from those waters, exceeds the collagen in a pound of beef knuckle by a measurable margin. The gelatin in fish head cartilage is type 2 collagen, the exact form your joints, your spinal discs, and the lining of your gut are built from. Beef bone broth gives you type 1. Your knees don't want type 1. Your knees want what Peter ate. But here is what modern food scientists quietly admit, and American supplement companies will never print on the label. Fish-sourced collagen absorbs at a rate roughly 1.5 times faster than bovine collagen. That is the 4 times number on the thumbnail. Fish head broth, simmered properly, delivers nearly 4 times the bioavailable collagen of the trendy beef broth in your refrigerator. And it costs about $3 at any Asian grocery store or seafood counter in America. The second broth is lentil and lamb marrow broth. Esau sold his birthright for this in Genesis chapter 25, verse 34. And we laugh at him. But have you ever tasted it? The red lentils are cooked down until they dissolve. Then a cracked lamb shank bone is dropped in, and the marrow melts into the pulse. The result is a broth thicker than cream, loaded with proline and glycine, the 2 amino acids your body cannot build collagen without. The Mishnah in the tractate Berachot references this exact preparation as the food served to men recovering from illness or long journeys. It rebuilt them. And the reason it vanished from American tables is simple. The USDA food pyramid introduced in 1992, classified legumes and bone-in meats as separate categories that should not be combined at the same meal. One generation later, we forgot the combination entirely. Therefore, the third broth, barley water with fish bones. In 2 Samuel chapter 17, verse 28, when David is fleeing across the Jordan, his allies bring him parched grain, lentils, honey, curds, and sheep. What the English translation misses is that parched barley, when boiled with small fish whole, bones, fins, and all, creates a silky broth that Galilean grandmothers serve to nursing mothers and old men with failing joints. The beta-glucan in the barley binds to the fish collagen and carries it deeper into the gut wall. Sit Hanan pressed a cup of this into my hands on my third morning there. I had a bad knee for 11 years from a roofing fall. Within 4 days of drinking it morning and night, I walked down her hillside without the limp I had carried since I was 41. I am not telling you it cures anything. I am telling you what I felt in my own body. But here is where the story turns. Somebody buried this. Somebody decided the American grandmother should throw away fish heads and boil skinless chicken breasts in tap water and call it soup. That decision was made in corporate test kitchens in the 1950s, when the broiler chicken industry needed a market for the bland meat they were producing at scale, and the traditional broths of immigrant communities, Jewish, Lebanese, Greek, Armenian, were reframed as peasant food your grandchildren should outgrow. The fourth broth is the one they erased most aggressively. It is hyssop and fish broth. Hyssop appears in Psalm 51, verse 7, in Exodus chapter 12, verse 22, and most importantly on the cross, in John chapter 19, verse 29, when a sponge soaked in sour wine is lifted to Jesus on a stalk of hyssop. This herb, which grows wild across the Holy Land, and which you can buy in any American grocery store as oregano's close cousin, contains compounds that, when simmered with fish, break down the connective tissue and release collagen peptides at roughly twice the rate of plain water. Traditional Galilean fishermen's wives always added a sprig. Always. The practice survived in 3 Maronite villages into the 20th century and nearly nowhere else. Now, listen, because this is the part for the woman watching who thinks she'd need to fly to Tel Aviv to do any of this. You don't. Walk into any Kroger, any Publix, any Aldi, any H-E-B. Ask the fish counter for whatever head and frame they throw out, they give it away. Buy a bag of red lentils, a pound of pearled barley, a jar of dried oregano, a small bottle of raw apple cider vinegar, and a fresh lemon. That is your week. That is everything Mary worked with, translated into an American pantry. Simmer the fish head in water with a tablespoon of vinegar and a crushed clove of garlic for 40 minutes. Strain. Add barley. Add a pinch of oregano in the last 10 minutes. That is the broth. And here is the secret finale I promised you. The 5th broth is the one Sit Hanan would not speak about for my first 2 visits. It is called, in her family's Aramaic, the Sabbath cup. Fish head broth, reduced by half, mixed with a spoonful of raw honey, and the juice of 1 lemon, drunk warm on the morning of the Lord's Day, before any other food passes your lips. Honey appears with fish in Luke 24, verse 42, the resurrection meal. Nobody in English-speaking Christianity talks about why those 2 foods appear together. The honey's enzymes activate the collagen peptides. The lemon's acid shuttles them through the stomach wall. The combination, taken weekly, was the joint medicine of the disciples. Curtis never got to try it. He passed the following spring. But my father, 84 years old, has been drinking the Sabbath cup every Sunday for 19 months. Last week he climbed the ladder to clean his own gutters. You were told the secret to healing was a $40 tub of powder. The real secret was in the book on your nightstand the whole time, preserved by women who never stopped cooking the way their great-grandmothers did. You are not a consumer of wellness products. You are an heir of a table 2,000 years old. Tell me in the comments, which of these 5 broths are you going to make first? The fish head, the lentil marrow, the barley, the hyssop, or the Sabbath cup? Write the number. I read every one. And if you want to know what Jesus actually ate for breakfast on the morning he fed the 5,000, the specific bread, the specific fish, and the one ingredient every American church potluck gets wrong, subscribe now and stand with the believers who are taking this table back.